What up, y'all? This is James from the Free Project. Hope all is well. It's been a while, and I figured I would take a break for a minute. But I am back with the jump off. And so, but anyway, I wanted to just talk about something I just watched, and my heart really goes out. And y'all know that all of these shows now are it's just ridiculous. I'm going to try to hold this camera. I know you're probably getting dizzy now, but anyway. So I was just watching the Prancing Elites. If you haven't seen the show, I think it's on Oxygen. Yeah, I think Oxygen. And man, oh man, the Prancing Elites Project. I don't know what to say about those 5 young guys. And I'm saying 5 young guys because they're not girls. No matter how many times they refer to themselves as she, they're not girls. They've never had, a monthly visitor or a period. They can't bear children in that manner as a woman. So you can prance, well, like it says, Prancing Elite. But they're boys who act like girls. And I remember a time when such a pathology will be listed as gender identity disorder. But now it's being celebrated, it's being lauded, it's being put up on a pedestal like every other sexual god in American history or in world history. It's being pushed, and it's being pushed on children, and it's being emotionalized to the point where people feel like, okay, well, these are just people and they're just doing their thing, and we need to support them because we need to love everybody and so forth and all that. No one is not talking about not loving people. Absolutely, you're supposed to love everyone. Absolutely. But the fact of the matter is, all of them are dealing with gender identity disorder, and although they don't realize, because it's a disorder that has now been normalized, it doesn't necessarily mean you're not dealing with it. But that's a part of what they're dealing with, because then there are other issues as well. If you look at some of their videos on YouTube, the little backstories, a lot of parental issues, a lot of family issues, things of that nature. So you have to look at all of that, the environment in which they were raised, and see how those things played a part as well. And I'm all for people. Guys can be dancers. I have no issue with that. I think the issue that I have right now with this show is that, number one, it's celebrating homosexuality. It's celebrating effeminism among young boys. It is pushing a gay agenda to the eyes of children and families. Because on the first episode, they are talking about how they want to be in all the parades. They want to be in the parades. They just want to dance, and they want to show their talent. And they are talented. But trust me, for someone who has come from the gay lifestyle myself, and who used to be in those clubs, there were Jay setters that were better than them. Believe you me, there were Jay setters that were better than them. Now, I mean, I've seen some Jay setters that were on point, and you have to give them credit where credit is due. They did the darn thing, but that was many moons ago. And so now, when I see this Jay setting at this time and this juncture, my heart goes out. My heart is broken for these young boys, because they really don't know who they are. They think they know who they are, but they don't know who they are. And you don't find yourself until you find yourself in Jesus, in Christ. That's when you find out who you are. And he begins to mold and shape you into his image. And I have a funny feeling the image of Christ isn't prancing around in tights and dancing like a woman. So, at any rate, yeah. But yeah, so the show is, it's an interesting show. I think I'm going to watch it on YouTube for the mere fact that, to watch their journey and to see what they're going to do next. But as you can see, what they're doing is just pushing their agenda on people and hoping for support and thinking that they're knocking down walls of bigotry and hatred and all of that. When in actuality, they are creating walls within their minds, and the further and further they go in the depth of what they do, it becomes harder to let it go. It becomes harder to walk away from it. And so you may think that you're walking upright and you're bringing about a virtuous life, but when in reality, you are actually making things worse for yourself, and you don't even realize it, because what you're doing is being sanctioned by the world. And whenever what you're doing is sanctioned by the world and it doesn't agree with God, you are actually creating bondage for yourself. And that's common. I mean, you think about it. So that's common. But anyway, yeah, the Prancing Elites, man, I am just really, really surprised and shocked that we are here now, that we are at this time. And it's that time where the real attack now is on the black community, black church, to try to get the young black youth to see homosexuality as just another lifestyle. Because, again, the black community is one of the last hurdles, because many of our causes have been started in the church. They've been started by preachers. A lot of the things that we have had to endure as African Americans, the rallies, all of the gatherings that we had to put together to try to work on getting our rights and to fight for our rights, they started in the church. So they held meetings at the church. A lot of the leaders were church men. So now, oh my gosh, now we have the Tyler Perrys, we have the T.D. Jakeses, who are quiet on these things. We have the Oprah Winfrey's who are, co-signing. We have the Nene Leakes who's in this show as well, in his first episode, giving her endorsement of this ladylike coonery. And you know what? That's another thing. One thing I noticed too when I was in that world, and what you'll notice is that women like Nene Leakes to these guys are goddesses. And the reason being is because they embody that bold black woman, that big buxom woman that they are trying to be like. And so what drag queens and what most of them do, they end up emulating, these big bold women like Cher and Patti LaBelle back in the day, and all of that, Celine Dion. And they take these big bold women who have these large personalities and they take it to another level. And so that's why you see these drag queens just really going in, or these men who act like women just really go in, and everybody's using the gay lingo on these shows. All the pretty girls, Tamar Braxton and all them, they're using all the gay lingo and just making it funny because all the the gays are in their circle and all that kind of stuff. And mind you, I could care less who's in your circle, who's doing your hair, who's putting on your makeup. I could really care less. But what I'm saying is that the influence now is so apparent and so obvious that you can't ignore it. And I'm not mad at people who say they don't want their sons and daughters to see men prancing around like that. Because I certainly don't want my two little boys to see that. I have to have the conversations already with my 16-year-old. And I certainly don't want my two little kids having to see that and have to deal with that. So, until it's an appropriate time. And as a godly man, I'm going to give them God's truth of the matter. So, but anyway, but the Prancing Elites... Also, someone helped them, sort of, work on their diction. But I understand you're from Alabama. I get that. But at the same time, know when to use there instead of they. Finish off your sentences sometimes. And that may be small, now just being picky, and that kind of thing. So that's really irrelevant. The bigger issues are the fact that we are just being bombarded with all this homosexual stuff, with all this effeminism upon our men, and we have people like Lee Daniels pushing out his gay agenda, who, he, like I said, Empire, and he made the statement that he came to knock the doors down of homophobia in the black community, and that was part of the purpose of Empire. So guys, pay attention, know what you're watching when you watch it. Just don't be a trash can and just take anything. And just intake anything, and then what you're going to be, you're just going to be full of trash. Understand what you're watching, know what you're watching, use discernment, and church, wake up. Just wake up. I have to give it to Franklin Graham. Franklin Graham is on top of stuff. He's calling it like it is. Putting Obama in check, putting this ISIS stuff in check, Muslims in check, this gay stuff in check. Where are the mouthpieces for the black church? There's some out here that came, to the aid of that black fire chief. But other than that, it's really been quiet. I don't hear Jakes now. Oop, I'm going to say off of Jakes. Let me leave that man alone. Anyway, this is James from Non-Free Project. I am not to put it on lockdown and close it and shut it down. Peace. Jesus is Lord.